Okay, we had a problem with this week's recordings. And I got back to my computer at home to re-upload them and found out that their problem exists right on my computer. So I need to re-record them. So I don't remember exactly where I left off before I started this video on the string method. So I've deleted all the string methods from the code I was using, and I'll let you take a look at it here. We have the bird class. It has its constructor. It has an eat method and a take damage method. We have the flying bird class that has the fly method in it. The eagle class, which we didn't define any methods for, so we just put pass in there. Flightless bird, same way. Then ostrich, which inherits from flightless birds, has a run defined, and the penguin has a swim defined. And what I've done down here, and depending on which video I ended with before I did it, I created 4 birds, an example of each one. I created a canary, an eagle, an ostrich, and a penguin. And right now, the way my code is set up, I am just printing the variable name for each of my birds. I'm not calling their methods right now. So if I left you in a different spot before this video, that's where I'm at now. I apologize for the black video. Basically, you could hear me talk, but couldn't see anything I wrote in the videos that I recorded. I'm not sure what happened. So what happens when I print and I just give the name of the object I created? I created this object, my bird, that's a canary. I created this object, my eagle, that's an eagle, and my ostrich, that's an ostrich. Right now, I'm printing them out. I'm not printing anything specific. I am just using the variable name, the name of the object. What happens? And I'll go ahead and run that. And you can see up here that it prints out of the main, printing a canary object at, and it gives us a memory location where that canary object exists in memory, basically is what that means. It's a hexadecimal address where we would find that in memory. So it doesn't really tell us a whole lot, but where does it come from? When I print those things, when I print just print the object, it comes up with a string somehow, because print requires a string, right? So where does that string come from? Well, what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to go to my bird, and I'm going to add underscore underscore str underscore underscore. And let's run that again. And we see basically the same thing, but we see a method wrapper around it. It comes from this underscore underscore string method that is defined by default. Actually, I probably need to put that on it. Maybe that's why it didn't. So now it matches identically. So there's a method in every object called underscore underscore string underscore underscore, and str, right? So we'll just call it the string method, right? So that string method exists automatically. Well, why does it exist automatically? That's because every class, if we don't tell it, like we did with flying bird that inherits from bird, okay? Bird, we didn't put that it inherits from anything. So by default, bird inherits from the object class that exists in Python. And that means every object in Python ultimately inherits from that object class. And that object class has this string method defined that prints out the memory location of the object. Now what we want to do is we want to change and override, and this technique is called overwriting. We want to override the string method that comes from the object class. You know, we inherited it from the object class, but we want to make it better. So for our bird class, let's redefine def underscore underscore string underscore underscore and it's a method. So we'll put self in there where it doesn't require any other parameters. And then we'll return what we want to return here. And since I've already done this before, I'm not going to make you actually I am going to type this one. I'll type it out slowly because I want you to learn a new technique here. So we're going to return a string. Now our string that we're going to return could be made up of a string plus a variable's value plus another string plus another variable's value, and we have a whole bunch of concatenation going on. So I want to teach you about String.format too while we do this. So let's do a string. Every place we need to put a variable, instead we're going to put a placeholder. So I'm going to have my string method for bird return a message that says a bird named. And now instead of closing that down and concatenating in self.name, I am going to put two curly braces, and they act as a placeholder. And we'll see what the placeholder is for in a minute. A bird named placeholder with health of and another placeholder. Okay, so that's my entire string. Okay. Now every string, because they're objects, they have a format method. So we'll put .format and call the format method for that string. And the format method, inside of it, we can specify values that we want to replace these placeholders with. So I want this placeholder to be replaced with the value self.name. And then I want the second one to be replaced with the value self dot it's underscore health, isn't it? Yes, underscore health. So what it will do is it'll print out this string, and it will just substitute self.name for the first value here and self.health for the second name here. This is a much more efficient way than doing a bunch of concatenation with plus signs and all the things that we have to do to convert back and forth from variables to strings and strings to variables. Make use of this. It's a very nice thing. Easy to do. It exists in Java as well. For you guys that have done Java, it appears on all the certification tests for Java. Java has a string.format that'll do the same thing. Python has it. So you should get to know how to use that. Two placeholders, and it just does them in the order we put them inside the parentheses of the .format method. So let's run this now and see what happens. Instead of printing out this memory address, our bird class, and notice they all do it because all these other classes inherited from bird, they all use the string method that we defined for the bird class. We didn't write any for flying bird or eagle or canary or flightless bird or ostrich or penguin. So they all used the one they inherited from their parent. This one took the place of the one we had before that was inherited from the object class. So a bird named Tweety with a health of 50, a bird named Murica with a health of 50, a bird named Rich with a health of 25, and a bird named Pengu with a health of 100. All right. So for these other methods down, for these other classes, let's do the same thing. I don't really need to do it for flying bird because we're never going to make a bird that is a generic flying bird. It's going to be an eagle or a canary, or we'll make new classes for other types of birds. Flying bird gives us the flying method, but we're never just going to make a bird anymore. It's just a generic flying bird. So we'll go down to eagle, and we'll write a string method for it. And because I already did this in the last video, I'm going to copy and paste it. And I'll show you what I did. Same thing that I did up here, except now we're returning an eagle named There's our placeholder with a health of, and there's our placeholder. And then we did .format, and we gave the variables we want to substitute. So it's basically the same statement. But now for our eagle, since this was inherited, since we're overwriting what was inherited from this class, our eagles will be a more specific message now. Let's run that. And you can say bird still says bird, but the eagle says an eagle named Murica with a health of 50. So we should do that for each class. Every class you write, you should make a new string method for that class that's a string representation of whatever that object would be. So we'll do the same thing for canary. And I already have code for that for my other. There it is. Okay. Now notice I'm being particular. 2 spaces between my classes, 1 space between these lines. There's a style guide, and I'm going to talk about it in the next video, that tells us how we should format our code. So watch for that. I'm going to do our ostrich. It's got another method now. String method says an ostrich named, and it does the same thing as the other ones. And I'll do one for the penguin as well. Ideally, I could have copied the bird and came down and done this, and then just changed bird to penguin, bird to ostrich. So all of my lower level classes now are more specific in their string methods. There's another place where we should have 2 spaces. So now we have a canary named Tweety, an eagle named Murica, an ostrich named Rich, and a penguin named Pengu. Right? So that's the string method. All your classes that you create should have a string method, so that if somebody prints out the object by just using the variable name, it will automatically return that string, which is much more user-friendly than what we get from the object class.